When it came to prayer, standing before the Almighty Allah in prayer, taking from our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who himself would stand in prayer for so long that the blessed feet of Rasulullah tawarramat qadama, the blessed feet of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would begin to swell, and so many tears would flow from the eyes of Rasulullah that not only would his blessed beard become wet, he would even dampen the earth on which he would prostrate. And when the Sahaba would see him in this condition, exerting himself, and that his blessed beard is wet, even the earth is wet, having mercy for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they would ask, Ya Rasulullah, قَدْ غَفَرَ اللَّهُ لَكَ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِكَ وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ. Oh, Ya Rasulullah, you are second to Allah. Your status is such that you have no sin. Allah has forgiven everything. Why do you exert yourself? Why do you worship Allah so much? He would turn around and say to his beloved companions, if that is the case, that Allah has honored Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he is second to the Almighty Allah, and Allah has freed his sins, afala akun abdan shukura, should I not then be a grateful slave and worship Allah even more because of the status that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me? Taking this from our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were ummatis of Rasulullah, the likes of Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, Sayyid al-Tabi'een. Never mind missing a prayer, my friends. For 50 years of his life, this man did not miss Takbir Ula. 50 years of his life, not only did he not miss Takbir Ula, for 50 years of his life, he did not see the back of any man in prayer. And the only way you can do that is if you're standing in the first saf. 50 years of his life. Abbad ibn Bashir is standing before the Almighty Allah in prayer. He's keeping on watch on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the enemy makes him out. And arrows now begin to pierce his body. And whilst the arrows are piercing his body and he's bleeding heavily, he keeps on standing before the Almighty Allah. And as the arrows hits him, he takes them out one by one, but he does not break his prayer. And he continues reading as blood is gushing from his blessed body. It is only when the thought crosses his mind that his death may jeopardize the safety of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Only after this thought does he break his prayer. The likes of Urwa has had his left knee amputated, and he's had it amputated while he was awake, while he was conscious. Even on that night, the man stood up for his tahajjud and stood for hours on end before the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The likes of Khubayb is sent to the gallows to be executed, and they ask him for his last wish. And he says to the kuffar, allow me to offer 2 rakats. Allow me to speak with my Creator. He offers his 2 rakats. And then he says to them, O kafiro, had it not been for the fear that you people think that Khubayb is afraid of death, I would have asked you to allow me to offer another 2 rakats so I could converse and speak with my Creator. Rabi was paralyzed. But even then, he would ask to be carried to the masjid. And the people would say to him, Oh Rabi, you are ma'zur, you're an invalid. You don't have to come to the masjid. Allah has given you ijazat. Allah has given you permission to read at home. And he would turn around to the people and say, indeed what you're saying is correct. Allah has given me permission, but I can hear the caller call out, Hayya al salah, hayya al falah. Come to falah, come to success. And one should respond to this call, even if he has to crawl on his feet. Thabit al-Bunani, never mind praying in this world. This was the dua of the man, that he would pray to the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he would ask the Almighty Allah, Oh Allah, I beg you, if you allow anyone to pray inside his grave, I beg you allow me to pray inside my grave. What type of a person do you think he was, that he's asking the Almighty Allah to allow him to pray inside his grave? Because he'd come over the hadith of Rasulullah in the night of Mi'raj, when Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw the likes of Musa standing before the Almighty Allah and praying inside his grave. He'd come across that. This was his desire. How do you think, what type of a life do you think he lived? You had Mu'adha al-Adawiyya, first night of marriage. First night of marriage, when you and I are probably on 7th heaven. She and her husband. She wakes up her husband, and they both stand before Sila ibn Ashyam, and Mu'adha al-Adawiyya spend the entire night, first night, standing before the Almighty Allah in prayer and thanking Him for His blessings. Every night Mu'adha al-Adawiyya, at the time of, during the night, that this thought would cross her mind. Okay, tonight is my last night, and it is so possible that I will leave this world and meet my Creator. And when this thought would cross her mind, after fulfilling the rights of her husband, she would spend the entire night in worship.
Allahu